Time to light the match for the burning truth with Casey Hendrickson.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to The Burning Truth. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Yeah, the election of Trump as the 47th president of the USA is a private matter for the Americans, but Palestinians look forward to an immediate cessation of the aggression against our people, especially in Gaza, and look for assistance in achieving their legitimate rights of freedom, independence, and the establishment of their independent, self-sovereign state with Jerusalem as its capital. That's the Hamas Political Bureau. And like I said, you know, they're still doing what Hamas has to always do, which is try to save face with their more zealous followers. But Donald Trump is certified, and within 2 hours, Hamas is calling for peace. Right before the election, you've got Putin saying he's willing to talk. Right after the election, Putin praised Trump and said he's willing to talk. After the first debate between Trump and Biden was faltering, and everybody's like, uh-oh, Trump's going to win this thing. Both Zelensky and Vladimir Putin said they're willing to sit down and negotiate. And I included, by the way, a video about the battle between American and Wagner Russian troops. I've given you the story many times before, but it really, I think it's, considering the timeline of what we're talking about, the allegations of what numerous people have said Trump told Putin. If he messed with Ukraine, if he messed with the supply of oil to Ukraine, if he messed with the supply of oil and natural gas to Europe, that Trump was going to mess him up. There's numerous people that are on record as saying that. It's the Battle of Kasham. That's the battle that you want to look up. The Battle of Kasham. Khasham. Or it'll be in the Daily Show prep at the end of the show at btmedia.news, where we just annihilated the Wagner Group. It's back in 2018. Who was president in 2018? Remind me again, Morgan. Who's president in 2018? Oh, that's right. It was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was president in 2018. And we did not hide it. We did not hide it. So, all right, what else do we got here? Well, we've got Jimmy Kimmel crying. We have Colbert. He did bleed. I'm not going to play a ton of audio here, but here's Stephen Colbert. Cue my audio, please. Have a listen to this.
I'm your host, Stephen Colbert.
Are you?
Well,
looking down, doesn't really know what to say. It's really dejected. There we go. That's about it. It was pretty much the same thing for Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon and everybody else, and it's just. Then you got liberal women in the U.S. Do you remember me talking about when we were leading into the election? I think I even mentioned it like during election day and even the day after the election yesterday, where they were talking about people who were now, because Trump had won, were going to be somehow, some way targeted. Remember that? And I had to remind everybody that it was actually MAGA Republicans who were being targeted for violence, for harassment, for murder. And I remember this one, Morgan? I reminded everybody of the massive womanist campaign to not sleep with their boyfriends and husbands because they supported Trump. Remember that? It was a huge TikTok thing. Now, this happened after the video came out, which is how NPR ended their election coverage. So your taxpayer funds went to NPR, who closed out the campaign by basically saying, hey, these conservative wives are going to secretly vote for Kamala at the elections because, you know, they want to make sure that they can kill the pool boy's baby that's in their belly while they're cheating on their husbands. Remember that? Now, that's essentially what the ad is. Let's not forget, the end of the campaign had two desperate pitches from the Kamala campaign. One, guys, you're addicted to pornography. You're sex fiends. You can't get away from it. We will protect your access to it. And women who are married to Republican men, you're abused, you're sheltered, but he doesn't know how you vote. So just go and vote the way that you need to vote so you can kill the pool boy's baby inside your guts, and he'll never know. Remember that? That's how they close out the campaign. I'm shocked that they lost white suburban women. I'm shocked that they lost white suburban women. Just absolutely stunned by that. And I'm sitting here, I was looking at this, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know a single guy that left his wife, left his girlfriend. I'm sure there are examples of it, but it certainly wasn't on a mass scale because she was supporting Joe Biden or because she didn't like Donald Trump. I don't know a single guy. You know how many guys I know whose wives were like pro-Hillary? They didn't divorce any of them. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to support Hillary Clinton, that's a divorceable offense. But I don't know anybody who actually left their wives over that. None. And here we are again. One more time. Liberal women are going out there and they are saying that they're going to stop having sex with men who supported Trump. Okay. Your terms are acceptable. Most conservative guys don't want to diddle you anyway. Let's be honest, most of you are obscenely gross. Not that there aren't attractive liberal women out there, just few and far between. They usually smell like cat urine anyway. So you have this movement again, which is back. Women on here are threatening to stop having casual sex and warning us that they'll start making sure that their partner aligns with their values. How is the entire culture fixing itself from this one event? I can't explain it. Oh. I mean, don't you think that's a very interesting pitch? Hey, you're going to support my politics or else I'm not going to lay down with you? Didn't you just run an entire campaign ad that ran all over the country saying that nobody would know how you voted? So why wouldn't he just do the same thing? If it were really that important, why wouldn't he just do the same thing? Like I said, everything that liberals believe, they have a contradictory belief. Every single one. And all of these women going out there and like, I'm not going to diddle you. I'm not going to diddle you. And I mean, to a T, go look. Seriously, go look. To a T, 95% of them are undoable anyway. It's, seriously, honest to God, you can't make it up. You can't. Not saying there aren't a cute one here and there, but you can't make it up. Guess the abortion rate's going to go down, huh? It's just, honestly. But the European feminists did come out too. I want you to know that the European feminists are standing in solidarity with all of you American liberal women. And they posted this video. And this is now taken off as a trend, where European feminists are showing support for their, quote, American sisters by standing around and just frowning at you. Morgan, they don't do anything else. They just frown. Have you seen this? She's seen this. Morgan is squarely on leftist feminist TikTok. I'm sitting here and I'm watching. I'm like, okay, if you're going to do that, shouldn't like the front and center women be moderately attractive? Okay. You're going to think I'm lying. So I'm going to put this in the Daily Show prep at btmedia.news, just so you all know what I'm talking about. It'll be at the top of hour 2. The head whammon from Europe who is doing this looks like John Kerry with a perm. Tell me you can't unsee it now. For those of you who have seen the video, tell me you cannot unsee it when I tell you that. It's John Kerry in a perm. I don't know how we're going to survive, boys. I don't know how. Friendly reminder, white suburban women who do the grocery shopping voted for Trump 51-47. I think the guys will be fine. We got more coming up. You're tuned in to The Burning Truth. the liberal women's minds? Where are they? It's a good question. So there's this other trend. I was just talking with a live stream about this, rumble.com/Casey the host. Hit the follow button, hit the thumbs up button. Would really appreciate that. There's a trend that's been going around for about a year consistently. It occasionally pops up before then, but for like the past year, there's been a trend of liberal women who finally go out on dates with conservative men, and then they report back. And it is pretty darn interesting to watch these liberal women struggle with the raw, visceral, some might even say animalistic attraction that she is enduring because of the feels that the conservative man gave her on date number one. If you're on social media at all, go look this up. So you have a bunch of unpleasant and unpleasant-looking liberal women telling you they're not going to sleep with you anymore until you start liking liberal policies and not liking Donald Trump. While you have liberal women going on dates with conservative guys and going, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Why didn't I do this before? Because liberal guys are awful. I almost said they suck, but that wouldn't work because well, it kind of works, but you know what I mean, okay? There's context I can't elaborate on, kiddos and stuff. My guess is, call it a hunch. My guess is the liberal women who are abstaining from diddling random guys out there are already not diddling conservative guys, and therefore they could stand to not diddle anybody because really it isn't a big loss. But the ladies out there who are diddling conservative guys, I think they might have some difficulty holding out based on some of the video content that I have seen, particularly with you Gen Z ladies. Just throwing it out there as a possible conflict of interest with the with the social media bit. There aren't a lot of young ladies who are good looking who are saying, I'm not going to diddle guys now if they like Donald Trump. I'm just throwing that out there. Morgan, recently when I went on a tangent, which I've been told, sorry, I was trying to rewind that. I didn't expect it to play. I've been told I can occasionally do. I can go on a tangent once in a while, once a blue moon, maybe, possibly. Like, it's rare, okay? But it happens. I'm not without my flaws. I feel like it was 20 or 30 minutes. It was at least 2 segments where I was, tearing Joe Scarborough a new one.
That's not that uncommon for you.
It's not, yeah. Okay? It's not. Because whatever is beneath a skid mark on the underwear of life, I mean, that's somewhere beneath that is where Joe Scarborough is. And it's wet and moist. Not in a good way. So Joe Scarborough has frequently attacked you and these white suburban women, without knowing it, who voted for Donald Trump, 51-47, because they were concerned about the economy and the price of ordinary, everyday goods. Do you remember this one, Morgan? I wish I had that soundbite ready, man. I really do. I really wish I had that soundbite ready. But I don't know when it happened or...
The butter one?
Well, I'm going to do the butter thing now.
Oh, okay.
But
yep.
There was a point in time where he was, again, just ripping you all because you were daring to say that things were getting too expensive and that inflation was too high and that you weren't bringing up enough money home. And he was just blasting you guys, just blasting you. And I remember cracking the microphone and going, when do you think the last time Joe freaking Scarborough went to the grocery store on his own? When do you think that was? You realize that Joe Scarborough is a multi-millionaire, which should make all of us depressed because he's really a dumb human being. I know some people say he's not dumb, he's just dishonest. Maybe, I don't know. But Joe Scarborough is so wealthy that this is a guy who doesn't generally care about any of that. Okay. Now, I'm going to play you a soundbite of Joe Scarborough, which kind of illustrates when I tell you that these folks are out of touch with you. This is honestly Exhibit A. You have heard me talk about the price of muffins, the price of chips, other various kids' snacks for parents out there who are listening to the show. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. Snacks that used to be easy. Remember, you used to buy those big, bulky boxes full of the snacks, and it was super easy and cheap. You paid a little bit more than just getting the full bag and then bagging it yourself, but it was worth it, right? Those things are like $30 now. Here's Joe Scarborough freaking out over the cost of butter.
Trump's going to win. I go, why is that? He goes, I went to the grocery store. Butter's over $3.
Uh-huh.
But it actually, what everything we're hearing after the election is,
I'm just saying, the $7.
What's that?
The $7.
What's that? Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What?
Some
Is
places.
it framed in gold?
Yeah, what
Okay.
kind of butter?
Depends
Anyway.
on where you go. But
Okay, well, yeah, okay. Well,
$7.
anyway, my point is this, Willie. The rent is too damn high, and this guy was saying the cost of butter is way down.
I like that Mika knows the price of butter, though, but he doesn't.
She probably voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced she does something very inappropriate with Joe Scarborough to control him. I just want to make that crystal clear. I've said that many times on the show. Homeboy's got a weirdo thing. Not that I'm shaming anybody. Y'all are allowed to have your thing. But he's got a doozy of one that he doesn't want anybody to know about, and she's A-okay with. It's kind of like the Prince Harry situation. Now, he's trying to make an opposite point, but he's not bright enough to realize that he's actually making the point of why the election went the way that it went. Because the cost of goods is too high, which is why we laughed hysterically when Tim Walz said, you got to have those tough conversations with people in the produce aisle. Do you really want to have that conversation? Hey, guess what else happened when Donald Trump won the election, Morgan? Green energy stocks dropped, but the stock market, record highs again. That ain't Joe Biden who did that. It was Donald Trump who did that. Got more coming up. You're tuned into The Burning Truth.
This is The Burning Truth with Casey Hendrickson on 95.3 MNC and the all-new MNC Nation.
MNC News Time is 4:30. Time to check out Impress Jewelry Creations, creating meaningful jewelry for the moments that last a lifetime.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
MNC.
News Talk 95.3 FM and 95.3MNC.com.
I'm Morgan Hopkins in the MNC News Center. Among our top local stories, jurors in the Delphi murders trial are hearing closing arguments today. On Wednesday, the prosecution was allowed to enter some last-minute evidence for the jury to consider. This included more psych evaluations on Richard Allen while he was being held at Westville Prison. Both sides were given 2.5 hours each to make their closing statements. With November being National Adoption Month, state lawmakers are reminding you that they passed several key pieces of legislation recently that protects Indiana's most vulnerable children.
State Representative Corey Criswell of Middletown says there's a new law that gives the Indiana Department of Child Services and the courts more tools and concise guidelines when planning for permanency and stability for the child.
This piece of legislation creates rules and procedures for getting families back together and ensuring the child is in a safe home. The new law also creates more resources for the state and courts to make more informed decisions on child placement.
A little more than 1,900 children were adopted in Indiana last year. John Herrick, Network Indiana.
Fox News, I'm John Saucier. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre telling the press today that President Biden has reached out to congratulate President-elect Trump on his victory.
He also assured him that he would direct his entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power. That is what the American people deserve.
In addition, President Biden congratulating Vice President Kamala Harris for her efforts during the campaign. The president of the National Border Patrol Council, Paul Perez, says there could be another influx of illegal crossings in the U.S. between now and the time President-elect Trump is back in office as the White House makes its transition from the Biden administration.
We know this administration is going to maintain the status quo and allow as many people as they can to come into the country. But once President Trump is in office, that ends.
His comments on the Fox News channel, the president-elect had promised to begin the largest deportation of legal immigrants in U.S. history. America's listening to Fox News.
Checking traffic and weather, the westbound lane of LaSalle Avenue from Niles Avenue to Sycamore Street are still closed for the installation of new electrical cable. Westbound traffic detours south on Niles Avenue. Expect slowing at times on the 20 bypass between US 31 and Ironwood Drive, also at US 12 and M51 in Niles. And Bertrand Road is undergoing work between US 31 and Portage Road with intermittent lane closures. Work should be done by early next week.
They serve with honor and protect all of us. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Space Force, and Coast Guard, America's veterans. Prime Table in Niles salutes these brave Americans.
Now, Legacy Heating and Air, your heating, plumbing, and clean air specialist forecast.
Partly sunny skies today. Great looking day overall. We'll actually see less cloud cover as we head into the afternoon, so mostly sunny at that point. High temperatures today around 58. As we head into tonight, clear skies, we drop down to 40. And then for tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. High temperatures again in the upper 50s. Our next chance of rain is Saturday night. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
Protected by ZX Gun, your single source for personal protection. Visit them on 3rd Street in Goshen and check out their full line of quality handguns, shotguns, rifles, and accessories.
What if this was a loved one?
911. Someone's trying to break into my home. They're right at the front door.
We're notifying the authorities. I'll stay on the line with you until they arrive.
What good'll that do?
ZX Gun is your single source for personal protection. Stop in today for the largest selection of handguns, AR rifles, ammunition, accessories, and personal protection solutions. Over 2,000 guns in stock today with the best prices. Guaranteed. ZX Gun, located in downtown Goshen at the corner of US 33 and State Road 15. Visit them online at zxgun.com. Don't wait for the unthinkable to happen. Protect yourself and loved ones today at ZX Gun.
Imagine a home where every season brings comfort, not worries. That's the Home Comfort Expert's promise. Right now, you can upgrade your heating and cooling system for as little as $24 per week, or take advantage of 0% financing and low monthly payments. With over 15,000 5-star reviews and 18 years of service, Home Comfort Experts has the technicians you can trust with your house keys. Step into energy savings and year-round comfort with Home Comfort Experts. Visit callhomecomfort.com today.
The Burning Truth with Casey Hendrickson.
Do you all remember when Amelia was my producer and we went ahead and we did her grocery list with the price calculator of groceries from the last year of Trump's presidency to the current prices? And then when Morgan joined us, we did the same thing. Butter was on that list, right, Morgan? And butter was a lot more expensive. Do you realize that from the election of Joe Biden to the end of September, the price of butter was up over 26%? Up over 26%.
That would make sense.
Okay. Well, that's actually milk. All right. So they didn't... the Bureau of Labor Statistics doesn't have butter as a category. They have milk and milk offshoots. So this is an aggregate of everything. So butter itself is going to be slightly different, but we're just doing milk. All right. Shall we calculate just this year? I mean, would that seem to make sense? The last year of the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris presidency, would calculate what the cost of milk actually was through... Not this month, not October, just through September.
Just through September, yeah, because we did my list in August, September?
Right. It's up 1.59%.
That tracks, yeah.
Okay,
It makes sense
that's
from
just
what
this.
I have seen at the grocery
just
store.
this year, the price of milk is up 1.59% through the end of September. Now let's just take a look, just for poops and giggles. All right, let's take a look and see if it has been declining. Okay, so it was high in January, and then it dipped just a little bit in February, dipped again in March, dipped again in April, barely dipped, basically even, okay, in May. And since then, since May, the price of milk and its offshoot products has steadily increased every single month. I can't imagine why white suburban women chose to vote for Donald Trump, 51-47. Cannot fathom the reasoning behind that. But Joe Scarborough is just sitting there. He's just like, he's trying to make an opposite point, but really what he's doing is he's making the point for everybody who voted for Trump. So you have a professor who canceled class on Wednesday. I drove in here today and it was empty, and I'm like, man, don't tell me. Are people taking this? People taking it because it was empty yesterday too, and I was like, okay, people worked late, whatever. But then I came in today. I'm like, where the heck is everybody? And then I had to remind myself that a bunch of you were on like fall break. I'm like, I'll cut some slack, okay? I'm going to assume that a large chunk of the people in this building and the building next door are not just taking a day off because Donald Trump is going to make them more wealthy, okay? I'm just going to assume that that's not why. But you've got this Oberlin professor. I know that you're shocked. Liberal arts professor. No class today. Jade Schiff is this person's name. Do you trust a professor that starts their emails to you, my dears? Who says that? Besides Mrs. Doubtfire, who says my dears when writing a formal note to people?
A liberal arts professor.
Named Jade. I don't have anything against people named Jade. I know fine people named Jade. A liberal arts professor named Jade. Okay? My dears, Jade's going to kill me. Hopefully Jade's not listening right now. I don't yet have words for what has happened yesterday. I don't know how all of you are feeling today. I'm going to be honest. I cannot teach. I want to. I wish I could. But there are days when we have to pause and step back. We all have those. Today is a day like that for me. We'll resume on Monday, including today's reading, Strength, Love, and Solidarity. Jade. Not Professor Schiff, but Jade. See, leftists, this is why ultimately you can never win. Because you all get sad and then you take the day off. Whereas, real men and the women who support them, the women who are not diddle protesting right now, they go to work when they don't feel good. They put in hard work when they're having a rough day. And when everything seems like it's falling apart around them, they still take time to play with their kids at the end of a long day at work. And you cry and go to a safe space with a coloring book like this government official in Washington State did for his staff. Have a coloring book and have counseling sessions just because you didn't get your way that one time in the toy aisle at Walmart. That's what we're dealing with. I cannot teach. Now, some of you might be going, Casey, Jade is a girl's name, but you kind of referenced this professor as being a guy earlier. Allow me to clarify for you. Jade Schiff, professor of liberal arts at Oberlin College, is at least a biological male. I don't know about the rest. You can see a picture of Jade Schiff at btmedia.news in the Daily Show prep at the end of the show today. I was not wrong. I was very much right. Just throwing it out there. There's some other interesting things that we had happen. A lot of the celebrities are running around doing the whole, we're going to leave America. A lot of them deleted their X accounts. So they're off of Twitter now? Yes. That's good stuff, by the way. I really like that. And I hope, desperately hope, that they don't come back. I really do. Feel free to go somewhere else. If you want to go to Mastodon, the place where all the liberals who left X after Elon Musk bought it. Remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter and all these celebrities and leftist accounts went over to Mastodon? And then remember what happened to Mastodon right after that? Mastodon got busted for having one of the largest child pornography rings and groups in American social media. Remember that? Well, Roger Clemens. Remember Roger Clemens, one of the greatest pitchers of all time? Roger Clemens, he decided to weigh in on things. And he said to all of these liberals and celebrities who promised to leave the country if Trump won, he goes, don't let the door hit you in the bleep. See? That's why we like people like that. Stock market is an all-time high. Roger Clemens is out there just, torching liberals. Kamala Harris is out there saying, we respect the Constitution after campaigning on literally ignoring and trying to change the Constitution. I mean, it's just bizarro world type crap. Joe Scarborough out there finally realizing he's out of touch with the cost of butter, but still not putting two and two together. Do you know what else happened? Donald Trump didn't just get Vladimir Putin and Zelensky to start negotiating and having a discussion and say that they want peace. Donald Trump didn't just have the stock markets go to record highs. Donald Trump didn't just have Hamas suing for peace. Just after winning the election, folks, he hasn't even done anything. You know what else he did? Do you shop at Target, Morgan?
Quite often.
Of course you do. You're a woman. Every woman shops at Target. You know what Target is doing this year that they haven't done in the Biden presidency? They've got Merry Christmas signs back. Donald Trump is making Christmas great again. I don't know if that's blasphemy. We'll talk with Pastor Miles about it next week. Okay? But Target now has signs that says Merry Christmas. No more Happy Holidays garbage. Ha ha ha. Did they have those signs before Trump won? No. But there are sinister plots afoot. And we have to talk about the monkeys. Yes, the monkeys. Not the musical group. Monkeys. Not bats. Monkeys. There is a plot we will discuss coming up on The Burning Truth. I could use some Jimmy's Chicken Shack right now. Really could. Sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into The Burning Truth. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. We're live on Rumble, rumble.com/Casey the host. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you some interesting numbers here. And I want you to just take a moment as a normal, average individual, okay, who has to spend money, save money, budget, everything else. The Kamala Harris campaign raised about $1.2 billion. They did this in 100 days because she came in late. You realize that she outraised Barack Obama. She outraised Hillary Clinton. $1.2 billion. She spent $1.2 billion and she got shellacked by Donald Trump. She also spent over $118 million in the last few weeks, she ended the campaign $20 million in the hole. So she raised $1.2 billion and she ended $20 million in debt. Does that sound like somebody who would do a good job with the national budget? Probably not. So what did Donald Trump do? Good question. Well, Donald Trump raised $1.09 billion. Not quite as much. However, he spent $1.03 billion. Donald Trump ended the campaign with almost $125 million with cash on hand. Boy, it's almost like you were dealing with a liberal politician versus a business guy there. He ended with money in the bank. She had $118 million in the bank and then blew it at the very last minute. So she blew at least $118 million in 3 weeks. So it's $138 million because she ended up $20 million in debt. But Donald Trump, based on the latest data that I have from Open Secrets, which says it's the end of October 2024, had $124,980,903 in the bank. Whew. That is a dramatic difference. And he took every swing state. Dang. All right, so we got to talk about the monkeys here. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the last time that Donald Trump was president, he was unstoppable. We were sitting here every single day talking about what on earth are the Democrats going to be able to campaign on. You got a couple of sham impeachment efforts that failed. At the time, there were no legal cases against him, and the legal cases that have been brought against him, they're all frivolous. They're all falling apart. They're being dismissed. The other case will be appealed. It will be overturned. We've told you that for months. But then something happened. There was a bat. You might have heard of this bat. Bat was named Wu. Last name Han. He lived in China. Then suddenly, the Democrats had an issue to run on. Now, they lied through their teeth about that issue, but they ran on it. They used it as a way to manipulate the votes. And yes, frankly, automatically conjure up millions of votes that didn't really exist based on all of the data that we have in order to steal an election, which they did. So now that Donald Trump has won, I find it a little bit suspicious that in Beaufort County, South Carolina, a bunch of monkeys from the Alpha Genesis Research Lab, who works with the federal government. Did you catch that part, Morgan? Suddenly, 40 of their monkeys got out. You realize that this is so bad that they're out there telling people in the local area to lock their windows and lock their doors so these monkeys don't mess them up? You realize that? This is in South Carolina. Oh, what else is happening in South Carolina? That's right, an anti-Trump, we're going to call it a protest for now, but the sun's still up. They're also protesting in Chicago. Was that peaceful transition of power thing that Kamala said yesterday? Yeah, it's not over yet. Let's not forget that Jamie Raskin, congressman, said that he was going to use the Insurrection Act to prevent Donald Trump from taking power. Let's not forget that. This ain't over yet. Alpha Genesis Research in Yamasee? Is that how you say? Whatever, I don't know. Works with the federal government. They have a colony of 3,500 primates that are used for clinical research, air quote. Dozens of these little monkeys are now on the loose. Over 40 of them. So here's the warning from the police. Several primates have escaped from the Alpha Genesis facility on Castle Hall Road. If you see any of them, please do not approach or attempt to interact with them. Instead, call 911 immediately. Traps have been set up around the area, and the police department is currently on site utilizing thermal imaging cameras in an attempt to locate the animals. Residents are strongly advised to keep doors and windows secured to prevent these animals from entering homes. Well, have you found anything about what these monkeys were being tested with, Morgan? Anything at all? I find that a little interesting. I wonder what sort of experimentation they're getting up on in South Carolina. I mean, probably not, COVID type stuff, but could they be making a way for another type of an outbreak? That could be. I don't know. Got more coming up.
Podcasts by Federated Media.